well, the voices here, it's very, there's no emotion behind the voices, and that's another story. But basically, in a nutshell, Alan Wake, potential for a good story, but the elements mixed in with it, like voice acting, is a major one, and a couple of issues with the story as well. Basically, I could think of why they do Alan Wake. They would really blow people's minds, but I digress. Back to Uncharted 2. Okay, Uncharted 2's action sequences are insane. Are insane. The peak of it, and maybe it's a bit of a spoiler, but I don't consider it to be a major spoiler. But if you don't want to know anything about this, then don't listen to it. Is when I'm on a building, and a helicopter fires like missiles into the building, and then the building is like collapsing. And as it's collapsing, all the furniture is moving everywhere, and yet I'm still shooting at other people, other bad guys in the room. Experience like that is just insane, and the fact that the graphics are as breathtaking as they are, and still, regardless, the graphics are the same all the way through, despite action sequences or whatever. It really is something else. The level of detail, quality, and scenery, very cinematic visuals, very beautiful visuals, like when you climb a hotel in Nepal as you're trying to locate some sort of temple. It really adds a. Let's face, there's many pretty games out there, but just because something looks nice doesn't make it a good game. But the fact that you've got all these supporting elements such as story, your characters, your voice acting, and of course the visuals, it all combines to form a great experience such as Uncharted 2. And another driving force behind Uncharted 2 is the motion capture. Now, when I'm seeing these characters move in this game, it really does feel like I'm watching actors in a movie. The way that they move is very natural. In terms of the writing, someone mentioned on YouTube that there wasn't one cheeseball line, so there's no like cheesy throwaway lines or anything like that. So every sentence, if you will, was there for a reason. And I always like to look at the little things in games and say, you know what, they couldn't have put rather I should say, they didn't have to put that in there, but they did. Let's think about Mass Effect 2. There's a whole there's many different things in Mass Effect 2 that you wouldn't necessarily experience unless you take a particular path. They didn't have to put that in there, or they didn't have to do a particular thing, but they did, and it's there on the disc, but you might not necessarily have noticed it. But they thought, you know what, maybe if someone does do this and they're not expecting it, we'll put it in there, so if they do it, they'll enjoy the game that much more, because they'll realize that we put the effort into it. I really value people that put effort into things, and as I'm talking about this, one thing comes to mind. There's a scene in Uncharted 2 where you're in this massive room with a statue, and you've got mirrors. Now, I saw another character at the other end of the room. I take the mirror and I shine it like right in her face, just for fun. Then, out of nowhere, she says, cut it out, or something like that. Now, that doesn't seem like much, but to me, the developers like, if I was to shine the mirror at in her face, she should probably say something. So they understand that they don't want to break the reality of this world. And and another example, when someone throws a grenade, and I love this, when someone throws a grenade in Drake's direction, he swears, he goes, "Oh shit, no," and he says that, and that's another thing to the game. It adds, all of these things add a fluidity or an unbroken level of immersion. And whenever you can pepper the game with little things like this, then it really does take the game to another dimension. So, to be honest, I'm going to cut this review short because there's not much else to say about this game. As I mentioned earlier, it really is a game to be experienced instead of spoken about, because you're not going to really understand what an experience Uncharted 2 is unless you play it. But in a nutshell, best voice acting I've ever heard in a game. The visuals are definitely on a different plane altogether. They're absolutely beautiful. The story gives Indiana Jones a run for his money. The characters are well fleshed out, and they're all their independent entities, and they're all very charismatic. And not to mention Nathan Drake, who, you know what, I really would like to meet this guy in real life and, you know, have a couple of drinks with him. So guys, Uncharted 2, number 5 on my favourite games of all time. And what can I say but bring on Uncharted 3. Thanks guys, feel free to leave feedback, and have a good day.